This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered medical or health advice. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice, nor have the statements been evaluated by the US FDA or similar international bodies. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of information shared during this podcast. The views expressed in this podcast may not be those of the host. Greetings, health and human enthusiasts, and welcome to the Regaining Health and Humanity podcast. I'm your trusted guide, Dr. Scott Johnson, and I'm both humbled and thrilled that you've chosen to join me on this fearless pursuit of knowledge and inspiration. My mission is to elevate your well-being naturally, arming you with evidence-based insights, revolutionary breakthroughs, and impactful health tactics. But that's not all. Together, we'll dive deep into the mysterious realms of human existence, unraveling the secrets of what makes us truly thrive. This podcast isn't just about information. It's a catalyst for change. Join me in confidently exploring potent natural solutions, cutting-edge health strategies, and igniting courageous conversations that cultivate meaningful connections and foster empathy for humankind. I'm here to empower you to unleash your extraordinary potential and lead a life jam-packed with boundless health and happiness. So get ready. Your extraordinary journey to boundless health and happiness starts now. And thank you for joining the Regaining Health and Humanity podcast. This episode is another human interest story, but it is closely centered on health, particularly mental health. As a trigger warning, we will be discussing mental health and suicide prevention. Today's guest is Joe Tuia'ana, who is the founder of the I Love You Bro Project, a nonprofit organization that specifically addresses men's mental health, self-improvement, and suicide prevention for men. In 2002, Joe loved a man off the ledge who was in a suicide crisis. From this experience, Joe felt led to create the I Love You Bro Project. Joe's greatest accomplishment in life is being a single full-time father and raising his 3 daughters. So that's quite an accomplishment. Anytime I hear of single parents who are raising children, hats off to you, because you're doing an awesome job to keep up.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
They live in Lehi, Utah. So talofa lava, Joe.
Talofa lava. Thank you for having me, my friend Scott.
Well, I think it's important that we start with the origin of the I Love You Bro movement, because it goes to the heart of why you do what you do. Will you share with us your personal journey to focus on empowering men with their mental health and how an event in 2022 changed your life?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's one of those terrible, I like to describe it as terribly beautiful, beautifully terrible experiences that are like 1 in 10 million. That just happened to happen to me and my girls while we were on our way to a basketball game in 20. We were running late for this basketball game. I had just got pneumonia, struggling with pneumonia. My kids and I were back then quarantined. We had COVID, so we were just the first day out of quarantining at home. It was one of those typical parent Saturday busy whatever mornings where things are just not going right. So and I was struggling with my health. And so to get to this basketball game, we have to take an overpass. And it's one that we've taken many times, hundreds of times, to get to school and other activities. So this particular case was different. And so we started going over this overpass. And we noticed this guy pull his car, don't go in the other direction, pull this car over onto the overpass, which is kind of peculiar in and of itself. It's just one lane each way. And so he pulled over, got in his car, and I'm just like, this is idiot. My kids are just kind of like watching. I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, we're 10 minutes now to this game. So I keep going. And my oldest daughter keeps kind of looking back. And so do my other daughters. I'm keeping an eye on this guy in the rear view just to see what's going on. And he just ninja jumps over this protective fencing that is obviously there to help protect the public from the sidewalk, falling off there. Anyway, I see him in the review mirror jump over this protective fence, and my kids scream, and I'm just like, here we go. Just this, what is going on? And I did have a moment or two that I was like, we're already late to this game. Somebody else can deal with this. There's bound to be somebody behind us who's going to stop for just a flash, of a moment. And I'm like, nope, this is not going to happen. It's going to be me. It's going to be me. So I flipped around, drove back up this hill, and parked behind his car in the overpass. Told my oldest daughter, call the police. Told my other two to chill out. I got this kind of a thing. And to my kids, they're, like dad's got everything else, like all the many things, the hats I wear and the balls that juggle. Oh, this should be just fine. Dad can do this. And I'll tell you, I stepped out of the car, closed the door, and I did not got this. My first instinct was to throw up. I thought I was going to throw up. And then it quickly turned to the man. I think I actually had pass out right here. Started sweating really bad. My anxiety was going crazy. I'm like, can I even handle this? I say a quick little prayer saying, just please let this guy know that he's loved. And it's not like the Red Sea parted or whatever, but I did feel an extra measure of confidence that I didn't have. And so I'm thinking, okay, just looking like me. I mean, I'm 6'3", 300 plus pounds, Polynesian dude, Brian. I mean, just being me could make the situation worse. What do I do? What can I do to make it so I'm not intimidating or less intimidating? And so I had the idea to open my arms out to him, like I wanted to give him a hug. And I started walking slowly towards him. And so I started walking towards him slowly with my arms open. And then I'm thinking, dude, what do you say when you get there? And I had a rush of doubt. Dad was like, you're going to make this worse than it is. You're going to ruin this. You're going to screw this up. This is going to happen in front of your kids. This guy's going to die. And you're just not qualified and you're not good enough. I had all these feelings flashing in my brain. And I'm thinking, by the time I'm processing this, I'm actually get to him. I'm right beneath him. And the only thing that could come out of my mouth with my arms open was, I love you. And said it over and over. And I couldn't tell you how many times I said it, but that's all I could say to this guy. And in fact, if you look behind me, that's actually the picture of the event right there. A guy came right after I did on the other side and snapped it with his camera. Anyway, he started looking between me and the freeway, and he was very extremely sad. And I started crying with this guy and just held out my arms to him, and just kept saying, I love you, bro. No freaking speech, no scripture, no motivational anything, just I love you, bro. And I had my arms out to him. And it got to a point where he was very, okay, I'm going to do this or this. And then I jumped up there being like I was 18 again and not so chubby and not so arthritic and not so pneumonia. Just jumped up there like it was nothing, grabbed him by the hoodie and the pants, lifted him over the fence and held him in my arms like he was just one of my kids. And he just latched onto me and we were just crying together. I slid down back to the safety of the sidewalk. And I just sat there with this guy and just cried with him. And I just kept repeating, I love you, bro. Literally the only thing I ever said to him the whole duration of this experience. And it was this perfect piece for me, this perfect piece between us, this bond connection that we shared. And then society showed up. And, first guy comes, why would you want to do this? This lady actually came second. Oh, do you have kids? And he's like, yeah. And she said, what would your son think about this? Our piece was fractured by this shame. Literally, the guy came right off the ledge and was being bombarded by societies. Not that these people meant to say anything harmful, but just their programming. They're programmed to say some of these things.
Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me because people just don't know what to say in that situation. It's shocking. It's a difficult situation. It's foreign to them. And probably you had some divine intervention to just know that he just needed to have love. And that was what he needed at that moment.
Yeah, and luckily, and I always like to say, would that work with everybody? I have no idea. But I would like to say it's the best first thing to do, would just to be just loving. And by loving, and honestly, people's idea of what that love is, what love really is so conflicting. In this case, his name is Aaron. He's like my new little brother. But within Aaron's case, he just needed to be reminded that he was loved and to have a connection there that could kind of, to build upon that love. And so when I'm reaching out to him, that's all, thank you, Jesus, that's all that he needed, in that case. And so it was a special experience, honestly, when right in the heat of the moment when it was happening, I thought, this cannot happen to me, in front of my kids. I've come this far. I've done, so much work as a dad to raise my kids the best that I could. This cannot be the thing, that they're traumatized forever from.
Yeah.
So it was a special, again, terrible, special 1 in 10 million. I just happened to be there, happened to say the right thing at the right time. And I'm just thankful. When you talk about divine intervention, this is one of those situations, absolutely, where I felt inspired to make that decision. I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to be a part of it. As terrible and traumatic as it is, still to this day, every overpass, every bridge, everything like that, I still struggle. When I get to one, I'm like, oh man, sometimes I gotta remember my breathing. It's traumatic. But for the most part, very heartbreaking experience for good.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing story. And I'm glad that you're sharing it and that it made an impact in your life to do something about it, because there is a huge stigma about men's health where many men are taught from a young age not to express their emotions in a positive way. They're told to be tough, don't cry. And unfortunately, they grow up to be men that don't know how to properly express their emotions and often don't seek help when they experience stress, anxiety, or depression. So what do you feel needs to change in society to help reverse this trend?
It's a great question. First and foremost, I think it needs to start in the home. It needs to be a dad leading it, honestly. Men need to be leading these changes. We need to have our dads and our husbands be the first ones to you're raising kids, your daughters or sons, to be the first ones to step up and normalize mental health discussion. We have a society and even cultures where, specifically with religious culture, sometimes that we get this mindset that we're just going to try to pray our way out of things and just hang in there. That's an 80s term I'm sure you're familiar with, because you see the cat, on the thing and I hang in there, where that's not the best thing to say, to people, or the best. What that is doing is empowering our kids to say, tough times are coming. Just know that you have to deal with it. The longer you will deal with it at some point in time. While you're dealing with it, it will just change miraculously and things will be better. So I think first, our parents in the home need to normalize these discussions dads need to open up, take the mask off a little bit. We talk about a lot in our support
Hmm.
groups is removing that dad mask, that gym bro mask, the work mask, and just show a little emotion at home and listen a little bit more. And so I would say first, probably that is society. Also, we need to start reprogramming what it is to be a successful man these days. And
Hmm.
so we have a struggle with machismo and being that guy who the big tough guy. We need to include being tough as sharing your feelings, sharing your thoughts and whatnot. And it's never going to be perfect, of course, but I think society, it all starts in the home. I'm a huge proponent of dads, especially. They need to be the ones who lead this. Then the wives, well, they want to talk about these things a lot of the time. They just don't feel like the dad or the husband wants to talk about it. So I think it all does start with dads, and we need to start raising a new generation. You and I are from a generation of programming where we don't talk about it, especially on the islands.
Right.
On the islands in San Juan, I would get my butt kicked for my dad. If you're talking about that kind of stuff, we just need a new parenting system and stuff when it comes to talking about mental health. So
Yeah, I love that you talk about it beginning in the home because societal expectations do play a huge role in mental health and what's expected. But from a micro level, we can change things if we change those that we have the strongest influence on, which is those that are residing within our home and those that we spend the most time with. You kind of mentioned about society and how they often discourage vulnerability in men. But how do you approach breaking down those boundaries or those barriers and encouraging men to seek help for their mental health?
that's a great question too. I think for me, mind you, I'm sharing all of this as a dude, a guy who just happened to be there. Again, I had this incredibly amazing experience, but since then, as a normal average Joe, I've been learning about suicide prevention, peer to peer communication, all of those things since then over these past 2.5 years. And so I still will always lean into that average guy. I'm not a therapist or clinician or a formal educator. But so I think that gives me a unique perspective on society and suicide and mental health and things like that coming from an average guy. I think what I've learned since we've started our support groups, when we invite guys to open up the first time they come, many of the times they do not. It's the second time they come. Sometimes it's not until the very end. Our support groups go from 7:30 to 9. Say we've got 8 guys there or something. We may have 4 or 5 regulars who are comfortable sharing and whatnot, their wins or for the week or whatever's ailing them. And then we'll have a couple new guys who are listening to these other guys share and seeing the emotion and seeing if this is a safe space for me to do so. And by safe, guys don't like hearing that. Guys, they hear say that's a messaging safe word, safe. But guys, they want to make sure that it's judgment free. I'll say this area that we're sharing all these feelings. Once they finally do, then it's crazy. We'll be 8:55. Suddenly, Jimmy in the corner's like starts sharing, he starts crying, and he starts, and so to answer the question, I would say the first thing we need to do is men leading other men in, like me, I'm the mascot for crying on camera. If you've seen any interview I've done where I'm talking about my kids or whatever I'm passionate about, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And so specifically about suicide prevention and mental health, where there needs to be a guy out there. There needs to be a big 300-pound, 6'3" guy who probably needs to be, okay, well, if that guy can do it, then maybe I can. But for what I've learned, Scott, is that guys are fully capable of sharing. They do feel those feelings. They're capable of sharing. They need to know that wherever they are sharing is judgment free, because a lot of times our guys are coming in not suicidal. They're not coming in with anything too heavy. They're just afraid to talk about it at home. They don't want to start an argument. They don't want to be ridiculed for, why didn't you tell me this earlier? These kind argumentative kind of tones. They just want a place to be able to vent it and then get it off their chest, you know. And that's kind of what we offer there. And I think society, we need to have more of these. There needs to be multiple places like this for guys to go and do that. So we try to do that. I think society wasn't changing. It's the whole kind of the basis of the I Love You Bro project. There was a need that wasn't being fulfilled, and that's not good enough for me. So I need to be the one to do it.
Yeah, there seems to be that there needs to be a mindset shift to where people have to feel like it's okay for that to occur. I'd have to say, like you, I grew up in a generation where that just didn't seem okay.
Yeah.
And I was programmed to, hey, you don't cry, you be tough, you don't show your emotions. That's kind of the era or the generation that I grew up in. And so we need to have examples of men who can be vulnerable, who can express their emotions in a healthy way. I really like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I see in my experience is that men are frequently driven by feeling valued. They want to know that they make a difference. What tips can you share to help men feel more value in themselves?
That's a very good question. And again, basing it off of my own, how I find value in my life, and how I've seen the men through the I Love You Bro project who attend our programs and participate, how they've found value in themselves. What we could say is you need to start allowing men to feel their feels. And what I mean by that is they need almost permission to. Like when you have, like the role of men, what are the three P's? Is provide, protect, and preside. Those are the three P's. And that role with men has been, it's, the back, I just see the black and white. All I see is black and white, like 50s, 60s. Guy comes home, honey, I'm home. Mom's making, or the wife's making dinner. And it says everybody smiles and everybody's this thing. Where, now it's, dude, that's not the game anymore. And it probably never was in the beginning. And so men, that provide, protect, and preside, those have been twisted. Provide, it's not just, hey, we got a house and a roof over our head and we have food to eat. It's now, okay, now you got to make more money. You got to have a great job making all this kind of money. And if you don't, then you're not a real man. Okay, protect. I got to be able to protect my family. Oh, well, that means I got to be jacked in the gym and I can't have any pounds on me. I'm overweight. And then preside. You talk about being able to lead your family or have that role in your family is now kind of being washed away too, where there's some discombobulation between roles and what do I do? And okay, if I'm not fulfilling those three things, then I'm down a road already of not depression, but just like my mindset is now leading towards depression, And so with the guys who come, it's a simple change of finding a routine, finding, making your bed in the morning. Like it's incredible some of these little changes that guys can do to escape. Going back to the three P's. It's not provide, but more like protect, provide, and pretend is what I like to say. It is these days. If you pretend like everything is good, if I pretend, if I go to work and show up at home, I don't want to burden my wife with anything more than she's doing, so I'm going to hold it all in. I'm going to pretend like everything's just great, and then which of course leads when there's just Jason Clausen, our board clinician, he likes to describe it as getting a 2 liter of Sprite and shaking it, and then once the pressure builds up, and then you open the lid, it just goes everywhere and it makes everything worse. And so the idea is that he shows is to just gently, we got all that pressure, just open it close, twist, little twist here, little twist there, like the little venting, the little sharing, the little things. And so when I see these guys who are going through these struggles, whatever the addiction is, or whatever the mental health thing, or whatever small little even things at home, it's what can we do to relieve just a little bit of the pressure.
That's a good segue, or leads me right into the next question I was going to ask is, could you discuss some effective strategies that you teach in the I Love You Bro project for men to manage and cope with anxiety and depression in their everyday lives?
Yeah, for sure. What we talk about first is, like I was saying, a routine. A lot of guys get sloppy.
Hmm.
Men want to be of service. They want to protect. They want to do those things. Those are healthy things for men to do. And it's when we are not doing those things, when we're off a routine, a schedule, then we start to get sloppy. And when we get sloppy, we get miserable. And so we talk about with the project the simple things, what is within our control. Don't worry about anything outside of that circle of your control, because everything else you got to give to God. You give that to the cross. You have no control over it. Do not fret about it. But what's within my control? Can I walk outside and get some fresh air? While I'm outside, can I go walk for 20 minutes? While I'm walking, can I do some breathing, some breath work while I'm walking? It's simple things like that. I think men are simple, or we're pretty simple for the most part. That some of those basic things, brother, some of those things when we're, especially, you probably experience it, and I know I have, where I've been angry or sad about something, the simple things like just going for a little walk, breathe while you're
Hmm.
there, like the incredible help of just proper sleep, proper breathing, proper hydration, and exercise do miracles for men, you know? And so I look forward to my 20, 30-minute walk every night, not just for my own mental health, but to get some exercise. You got to get out and get some sunshine, you know? Those
Hmm.
simple things, it'd be remarkable how they're missing some of those check boxes or those boxes checked.
Yeah, I think so many of the podcasts that I have had so far lead back to lifestyle
Mhm.
and how important your lifestyle is and what you're doing on a daily basis to keep yourself healthy. They also apply not just to your physical health, but to your mental
Yes.
health and your emotional health as well. So we've got to make sure that people are focused on those things. You know, a startling statistic to me was in 2021, over 80% of the successful suicides in the United States were
Yep.
men. Joe Rogan is quoted as saying that most men live in quiet desperation. We've seen people like Robin Williams, who seem to be happy and love to make people laugh, take his own life. I, unfortunately, have been close to those who lost their life to mental health issues. And it is so hard after that occurs. Suicide prevention is a crucial aspect of your work. So, what are some warning signs that loved ones should be aware of, and what steps can they take to intervene and offer support?
Sure, that's an awesome question, and one that really everyone should be asking. What can I do better? And what you described, suicide prevention is just being a better friend, honestly. And so the things that I share, what can you look for? Those are things that you should be doing. We should all be doing as just better friends. So to be a better friend, I would say in the case of suicide prevention, generally speaking, there are like those who talk about death. They'll um, they'll start saying, okay, I wonder if this will be better. Things would just be better without me, or they'll
Hmm.
start giving things away when they're really suffering from suicide ideation. They'll you'll see them drink or drink more or pick up bad habits, oversleeping, not leaving the room, not attending gatherings. For me, the big ones are like the life changing events. So if you see anyone, I don't care how happy they look, and you somehow either hear or through social media see that they're going through a divorce or a separation, or someone who lost a loved one who is grieving. However, I don't care how old the person is or how young, if they've lost someone close to them, or if even something small as my youngest just graduated and moved out of the house. Life changing events have just an incredible impact on our mental health. And so
Right.
with men, it's extra challenging. So you bring up Robin Williams, you bring up some of these faces who have just entertained their whole life, and they've just been that person for everyone else, and they couldn't be that person for themselves. And so it's extra challenging with men, I think, particularly because studies have shown that it doesn't take a history of mental illness for men to die by suicide. Meaning, women, for the most part, they have they will go seek help, much more frequently than men would. So they get a diagnosis and they talk about it and they share and they get help. Women attempt 3 or 4 times more than men do, but men are 4 or 5 likely to die by suicide. It's an incredible statistic. So men, what the data, it can be interpreted, the data, as men only need a small window of tragedy to die by suicide. Now, let me refer kind of that back to Aaron, who I've organically gained this information from as far as his life. I always wanted to hear his side of the story. I'm told mine a million times. I always wanted to hear what was going through his mind at the time, and he shared with me he had a terrible thing happen with his marriage, and some terrible things said to him. And between those two things, those things happened, and it was only like 5 days later that he took a drive to almost to like help himself, just to take a drive to clear his mind. And his drive took him to the overpass. He saw the overpass, and he's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to do this then." And he was
Yeah.
literally committed to do so. So what I'm finding is the research is, and from what the data we get, boots on the ground in our support groups, is that all it takes is a divorce. Okay, my wife's cheating on me, or I lost my kids. I'm never going to see them again. And a man is far more likely to die by suicide in those big tragedy scenarios. So if I were to say we're looking for signs, it's those normal friend signs that you're looking, oh man, my buddy just lost his mom. I need to be that guy for him. I need to reach out. I need to check
Yeah.
in with him. And it's not just overwhelming right when the funeral is, it's the month, the 2, the 3, the 4 months after, where everybody leaves. That's when he needs you, the most. And so I would say look out for those, unless it's like sometimes it's very, easy to recognize some of these signs. They're talking about it. They're drinking a lot more. They're doing all these other things. Those are the easier signs to tell that there's a problem. But these with men, brother, man, we put on such a sellable mask, such a happy face, and oh, everything's great, that we need to dig a little deeper for each other and peel the onion, and as friends.
Yeah, I think it's a great reminder. The Bible calls it being your brother's keeper, right? If
Amen.
you look out for the other individuals. If you have them on your mind, send them a text, give them a call, go visit them, bring them something. Because at least in my personal life, I've often found that if somebody's on my mind a lot, they're going through something,
Yeah.
and so it's nice to just go and be a support for them. I kind of want to finish with just talking about the I Love You Bro project and the resources that it provides. Because I think it really is beneficial for men to know that they're not alone and to be able to connect with and have that support group that you've put together. So, can you tell our audience a little bit more about the I Love You Bro project and what resources does it provide to help men feel comfortable sharing their emotions and supporting one another?
Yeah, awesome. So the I Love You Bro project I made after getting to know Aaron, and I asked Aaron, what was missing that day? And Aaron said he was missing someone to reach out to. He had no one he felt comfortable with or connected to.
Hmm.
The second thing, he didn't have any knowledge or nothing to help himself, really. And the third, and probably the most obvious, was that he had the ability uh, to to resources that could help him, whether that be therapy or counseling. So I created the I Love You Bro project foundationally to address those three concerns that Aaron had. So the I Love You Bro project, the first thing we did was, okay, well, we need to address the connection situation, because a lot of guys are not feeling connected. That could be you at church, that could be you at work. And you could feel like you associate with people there, but you don't connect with them there a lot of times. or feel comfortable, like that's a
Mm-hmm.
place that you can do that. So we created places where men can come and are invited to share and to open up, or they can come and just listen. And for the most part, when we get the guys who actually show up, the first thing I always love to say at the beginning of group is the toughest part was just you showing up, just you walking through the door. That was the most difficult part. So when the guys that do show up, they show up with a purpose. They have something to share. They want to share. And what we're finding with our groups is that they also want to receive counsel. The groups are full of diverse struggles and issues, but also a wide variety of wisdom that our groups have, whether they be 4 of us or whether there be 10 of us. And so our support groups, we offer free to our men, and they are weekly, so they're accessible to the men in the community. We currently offer once a night, every Tuesday in West Jordan. That's from 7:30 to 9. And then we
Uh-huh.
offer a Wednesday night support group in Provo for our Provo dudes, Utah County guys. And that's from the same time, 7:30 to 9. And these are opportunities for guys to, again, to vent and share. Now we collect data. We have some great data, and what the data shows, for the most part, our guys, it's overwhelming. Something like 83% of them just want a safe place to share. And by safe, it
Mm.
means an opportunity for them to share in a judgment-free environment. So that's one of our biggest. It's probably Foundation, our biggest program, our most, I would say, populated program. We also offer our workshops that I want to call almost like life workshops for men. We have those bi-weekly, and it's generally like twice a month. It's never, exactly every other week, but these are opportunities for men to come free and learn about all of the variety of things in life that we are not really talking about. So, for example, I brought in our first one. We brought in my friend Ed Harold. He is a master breathing instructor, and we brought him in, and he gave a 1.5 clinic on proper breathing. And I had no idea there were so many ways to breathe. Incredible workshop. He had us doing some exercises, and guys were getting emotional just by the way where he was taking them with their breath. So one workshop, breathing right there. The next workshop right after that, grief and grief management, taught by our guy Jason Clausen, about
Yeah.
how to grieve and how to help others who are grieving. Our next ones are on father relationships with your kids, parenting, building stronger relationships with your kids. And that we even have some, in the future, we'll touch on everything, man. So, what I'm really excited about is the untapped potential of our wives and girlfriends and moms and sisters supporting us, man. So I'm going to start
Oh, okay.
Love You Sis workshops, where we're going to have women come in, and where they're going to have workshops for them on addiction support, whether it be pornography or alcohol, prescription drug. We're going to have
Mm-hmm.
marriage and relationship um, workshops, dating, things like that. We can help on every front of the home. Again, we talked about at the beginning and at the end, the bottom line is I can offer so many different programs, all of these free, accessible programs. The bottom line is nothing's going to change unless it's changed in the home. And we need guys to show up. They got to get the guts to show up. Our last program, I want to say not our last, but our newest one, is that we offer now uh, free therapy for men. And
Oh.
yeah, it's therapy is expensive. Most men can't afford it. Most men can't. It's expensive, but needed. And so our support groups provide great platforms for guys to share and to receive counsel if they need that. Our workshops provide knowledge and learning. Between those two, you would hope that could help you out most of the way. But a lot of our guys, they need more. And so we provide therapy. It's called the We Love You Bro grant, where I'll set them up with 4 to 6 free sessions of therapy with a professional clinician, and which is, solution based, not, oh, hey, time's out, we'll see you next time. No, none of that. It's solution based. They are not, give you the fluff and come back for next time. It's, we can make changes now. We can make immediate impact now, and we can do this together as a brotherhood.
That's all great, and I applaud all of the resources that you're making available to men in the community. My last question really is, how can people support your efforts and get involved?
Oh man, thank you for asking. So right now we're getting ready to launch our I Got You Bro movement, and I Got You Bro is a monthly giving program where good folks can sign up, subscribe. I want to say to give $5 a month, or $10, or $20, and give monthly to our cause. And what we're finding is, or what I'm especially finding, is money doesn't last very long when it comes to some of these programs. A lot of this is done in evenings. My evenings are spent with my kids running these programs and paying for them, a lot of them out of pocket. And so I would love for any of your listeners to help us with a monthly donation. And that website is IGotYouBro.care. And so we have a website called iloveyoubroproject.org. We'd love for anyone who's, first I want to say anyone who needs, especially our guys who need help, go to iloveyoubroproject.org. You'll see all of our calendar. You see all the events we have going on. Reach out to me. You can contact me through there. But if you want to really give, or if there's a business owner who wants to sponsor one of our groups, or some therapy for a guy, or we have so many different opportunities right now where we can have people give. Right now, I would say if you can, go to IGotYouBro.care and give if you can, whatever you can a month, $5, $10. We go to McDonald's one time and it's $25, $30, depending on the size of your family. If you give up a McDonald's once a month, and to give to our cause to save more men, and to not just save them for the weeds, but to make them better. I don't believe in just saving people from suicide. We need men to be better, and so we want to save them and make them better. So IGotYouBro.care would be the awesome way for you guys to show your support.
Well, thank you so much, Joe, for being on. And I just want to echo your words that I encourage men to help make society different. Let's be positive influencers. Let's make positive changes in the way that mental health is looked at for men and women, and make it something that is an approachable topic and a normal topic to express emotions and to talk about mental health and what we can do to improve our own mental health, and what we need to do to help look out for others, our brothers and sisters who may be struggling. I really appreciate the suggestions that you've made, and encourage any listeners to help support the cause if they have the means to do so, because it could make a huge difference for the people that are listening and need this help.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. Always here for you guys. Love you, bros.
Thank you for investing your precious time with us today. I trust you've uncovered valuable insights to elevate your health and enhance your quality of life. If you're hungry for more evidence-based wisdom to transform your well-being, I invite you to check out my 20-plus books, all waiting to be explored on my website, authorscott.com. Don't miss out on the chance to supercharge your knowledge. Please share, like, and subscribe to be part of the movement revolutionizing lives. In a world drowning in noise and endless information, your share can be the beacon that guides others to a better life. Together, let's make a difference by amplifying the life-changing knowledge you've gained today. Until next time, here's to your journey to boundless health and unbridled happiness.
Say